Okay, some of the last gems here. So E, the great E, which is 5, the number of joy. So I went straight to the EY's, okay, because Y is the highest letter that divides by 5, and so very cool. EY, Charlie, Limey. Interestingly, another one, I went through ET's as well. And a cool one is ET is a famous ending to make something like a diminutive, like a hatchet, or a hamlet, okay, or a piglet, okay. ET, it makes it like joy, and typically they're the cuter versions of something, and you can feel the joy. Okay, but let's get, so I want to preach some good words here. So I don't even know how that's pronounced, IAS, but it equals joy, okay. Everything exists for the joy of God. So this is a young hawk, the H word for nest. Okay, and now we hit the great I. Now, this is so cool. Okay, so we know I is pure 5s. 5, 25, 5. Like every eyeball in the history of the universe. Joy. Now, look at the follow-up words that divide by 5. Okay, your eye hole, your eyelash, and your eyelid. I'm gonna focus on. And this is so cool. Like the word iris and pupil. You do the math. I believe iris is iris is 55, which is another term for your. So the word eye and hole both divide by 5. Okay. So the dead center of, the iris is the contractual thing. Pupil equals Jesus equals God's Son. Okay. But, okay, so let's start with your eyelid, and then we'll do your eyelash. This is so obvious. Okay. 5, 25, 5, 25. And remember, think about the joy of a lid, because a lid means you open something and then you get the element of surprise, okay? So the word surprise, I spy with my little eye, divides by 5. So the word surprise divides by 5. Lid, so this is 25, 25, 5, and 5. Just embarrassing 5s. So that's 60. Eyelid equals word. And then eyelash, this is also embarrassing 5s because AS is 20, LH is 20, 20, 20. 20, 20. So that's 40 on top of I, 35. So you get the great 75, which is a king number for 5. It equals genius. So, again, 5, the number of joy in your eye, your eyelid, and your eyelash. And then when something is eye-catching, that also divides by 5. And go through all these I words. So the I words go quite far. Then you end up with an eagle's nest, and then this is really cool. The very last word in the Oxford English Dictionary that begins with E is Ezra, okay, from the Bible, and his name equals joy perfectly. That is the end of the line for E's, the great E, which is 5, the number of joy. It finishes in the sovereignty of God with Ezra, whose name adds perfectly to joy, okay, and you can read about who he is, read his book of the Bible. Who played a central part in the 4th and 5th. So this is going back to 5th or 4th century BC. And go ahead and solve Nehemiah if you want. Find 5s and all this. But that's a really cool one because it's such a tight package, just like JOY. And then in Ezine, we've talked about e-commerce and the joy of all that's happening with the internet. We solve the internet and everything E-related, E5. Ezine, again, this is famous. ZN is a famous 40. Pair of E's, pure joy. That makes joy flanking this I. Okay, we solved e-commerce. Okay. And then you have like an E-reader. This is embarrassing 5s, okay. E-commerce we talked about, and yada yada yada. Okay. So yeah, there's some great E words. Okay, and we were talking about the 5s, the obvious 5s, because 5 is the number of joy. So as I just kind of review some more of these, oh, an eye cup. I know both of those words divide by 5. Eye contacts. There's a ton. This is so cool. The word contacts is very similar to the word contents. Remember, we found we found joy in contents. It was all the letters that do not divide by 5. Similar in context, a lot of letters that divide by 5, but you can see the joy in that. Eyelet, yeah, that's easy. And then to open the eye, we know that open equals joy. Open equals joy. An open eye, eyesight. Okay, yeah, you can dig into some of these other ones, but I wanted to preach because this is the first time I just was reminded that eyelid is pure 5's and eyelash is pure 5's, and it's pretty glaring. Okay. Oh yeah, and then Ezekiel equals Jesus equals God, Son equals great I am, and you can split this. There's the Z equals God, the rest equals Son. You can also split it into great I am probably, and it's all ordained for the glory of God. Okay, cool, man. It makes you want to solve every word there is, as we should. Certainly makes you want to read the book of Ezra, doesn't it? Understand his contribution to joy in the story of God. Okay, priest, scribe, some similarities to myself with the love of letters. The work of Nehemiah makes you want to solve this character, doesn't it? 22, lots of 5's in Nehemiah, just around rebuilding of the temple. That's just, it's very satisfying to always check out. That's what I did first in the E's. It's always satisfying to check out the first of anything, like the first in the EY, and also the last, okay, because there's always specialness